Nobody expected Funmilayo to find love at 38. Her family had stopped expecting it years ago. At weddings, aunties whispered with pity. At family gatherings, younger cousins flashed engagement rings while Funmilayo smiled politely and changed the subject. Even her own sister, Gloria, had long ago stopped asking when Funmilayo would settle down. The question had shifted from when to why bother. But what no one saw coming was Danielle. And what Funmilayo didn't see coming was that the person who would fight hardest against her happiness wore her own blood and called her sister. Before we continue, we are so glad you are here. If you love stories where the underestimated rise and truth always wins, you are in the right place. Tell us in the comments where you are watching from. It truly means the world to us. And please, stay until the end. You will not regret it. Funmilayo has learned to live with the labels. Old maid, career woman, too choosy, too busy, too late. She stopped correcting people years ago, stopped explaining that she had built a career, raised herself, and survived heartbreak without bitterness. To her family, none of that mattered. A woman without a husband was unfinished, incomplete. A story paused mid-sentence. She accepted it quietly, the way she accepted most things, with dignity and silence. Gloria, her younger sister, who was 25 years old, occupied a different space in the family imagination. Beautiful, charming, educated, and ambitious. She had always been the one everyone expected to marry first, to marry well. But at 25, Gloria remained single, moving through relationships that never quite settled. Still, when she was young enough that no one worried, no one whispered, time they believed was still on her side. Gloria was the daughter who drew attention wherever she went, the one who seemed destined for something spectacular. Funmilayo loved her sister, truly, but love and pain sometimes share the same space, especially when every family gathering became a stage for comparison. At least Gloria still has time. Their mother Kate said once, her voice soft but cutting. The unspoken message was clear. Funmilayo had run out of time. Gloria had not. Then Daniel appeared, not with fanfare, but with consistency. He worked in the same building where Funmilayo managed operations for a logistics firm. They spoke in elevators, nodded at each other in the parking lot, exchanged pleasantries during lunch breaks. Daniel was 42, divorced, thoughtful, unhurried. He watched Funmilayo with the kind of attention that unsettled her. Not because it was inappropriate, but because it was genuine. One afternoon, he asked her to coffee. She hesitated, not from disinterest, but from disbelief. Men like Danielle, stable and intentional, did not choose women her age. The world had taught her that much, but Danielle was different. Over weeks, coffee became dinner. Dinner became long conversations that stretched past midnight. He listened when she spoke. He laughed at her wit. He admired her independence without feeling threatened by it. For the first time in years, Funmilayo felt seen, not as an aging woman racing against biology, but as a person worthy of love exactly as she was. She told Gloria first. They sat in Funmilayo's living room, and Funmilayo's voice trembled with cautious joy as she described Daniel. Gloria's smile was immediate, warm, full of sisterly excitement. She hugged Funmilayo tightly, told her she deserved this, promised to meet Daniel soon. Funmilayo felt relief flood her chest. Her sister's approval mattered. It always had. But approval, Funmilayo would learn, is sometimes a mask jealousy wears when it cannot yet reveal itself. The first dinner with Gloria went beautifully. Daniel was polite, respectful, engaged. He asked Gloria about her work, complimented her insights, and treated Funmilayo with visible affection. Gloria laughed easily, asked questions, seemed genuinely happy for her older sister. Funmilayo watched her sister's face for signs of judgment and found none. That night, driving home, Daniel took her hand and said something that made her heart swell. "Your sister is lovely. I can see where you get your warmth." Funmilayo nodded, believing him completely. But something shifted after that night. Subtle at first, barely noticeable. Gloria started calling more often, always when Daniel was around. She needed advice. She needed to talk. She needed Funmilayo to come over immediately for something urgent that turned out to be minor. Funmilayo obliged, always. Family came first. Daniel understood, or at least he said he did. But Funmilayo noticed the slight frustration in his eyes when her phone rang during their dates. The way his jaw tightened when she apologized and explained it was Gloria. Then Gloria started showing up, unannounced, always dressed beautifully, makeup flawless, perfume lingering long after she left. She joined them for dinners Funmilayo had planned as intimate evenings. She called Daniel directly, asking his opinion on career decisions, relationship advice, things she had never asked Funmilayo about before. Funmilayo told herself she was being paranoid. Gloria was friendly. Gloria was social. Gloria had always been the outgoing one. But deep inside, something ancient and knowing whispered warnings Funmilayo tried to ignore. Daniel began changing too. Not dramatically, but in small, measurable ways. He grew distant during conversations. His texts became shorter. Plans were postponed more frequently. When Funmilayo asked if something was wrong, he smiled tiredly and blamed work stress. She wanted to believe him. She needed to believe him, because the alternative, that her own sister was deliberately unraveling the first real happiness Funmilayo had known in years, was unthinkable. One evening, Funmilayo arrived at Daniel's apartment earlier than planned. She had finished work early and wanted to surprise him. His door was slightly open. She heard voices, laughter. She recognized both immediately, Daniel and Gloria. Funmilayo froze in the hallway, her hand hovering over the door. She did not burst in. She did not announce herself. Instead, she listened, her heart pounding so loudly she feared they would hear it. Gloria's voice was soft, almost tender. Funmilayo is wonderful, truly. But Daniel, you must know how complicated this is for her. She's been alone so long. The pressure, the age, the fear of losing you. She's fragile. Daniel said nothing at first. Then quietly, hesitantly, and he responded, "I hadn't thought of it that way." Gloria continued, her tone drenched in false concern. "I just worry, for both of you. Relationships built on desperation rarely last. And Funmilayo, bless her, she's desperate. Anyone can see it." Funmilayo's breath stopped. Her vision blurred. She stepped back from the door, turned, and walked away silently. No confrontation, no tears, not yet. She drove home in a trance, her hands shaking on the steering wheel, her mind replaying Gloria's words over and over. Desperate, fragile, built on desperation. Her own sister had planted poison in the soil of her happiness and smiled while doing it. That night, Funmilayo did not cry. She sat in darkness, staring at nothing, and allowed herself to feel the full weight of betrayal, not from a stranger, not from an enemy, from Gloria. The sister she had protected, celebrated, and loved without condition. The sister who had smiled in her face while dismantling her joy piece by piece. And the cruelest part was not the betrayal itself. It was the realization that Gloria had always resented her, not for being older, not for being single, but for daring to be happy despite it. Because if Funmilayo, the older, supposedly expired sister, could find love with a man like Daniel, what did that say about Gloria, younger and supposedly more desirable, who had not? Funmilayo stopped answering Gloria's calls. She stopped offering explanations. When Daniel asked if something was wrong, she told him calmly, without drama, that she needed space to think. He seemed confused, almost relieved. That reaction told Funmilayo everything she needed to know. Gloria's words had worked. The seed of doubt had taken root. Daniel now saw Funmilayo through a distorted lens, shaped by someone who claimed to love her. But Funmilayo was not the woman Gloria thought she was. She had not survived 38 years of judgment, loneliness, and disappointment by being weak. She had survived by being wise, and wisdom taught her something crucial. People who sabotage you reveal more about themselves than they ever reveal about you. Funmilayo began watching, not obsessively, not with malice, but with clarity. She noticed how Gloria orchestrated encounters, how she always dressed provocatively when Daniel was present, how her compliments toward Funmilayo were laced with subtle insults. "You look good for your age. Daniel is so patient with you. Most men wouldn't take on someone with your history." Each sentence designed to plant doubt, to make Funmilayo seem burdensome, to position Gloria as the better, younger, more vibrant option. And Daniel, decent but unaware, absorbed it all. He did not realize he was being manipulated. He thought Gloria was being helpful, protective, concerned. He could not see what Funmilayo now saw with painful clarity. Gloria was not protecting Funmilayo. She was positioning herself as the replacement. The breaking point came at a family gathering. Funmilayo arrived late, tired from work. Gloria was already there, sitting beside Daniel, laughing at something he said. Their mother, Kate, watched them with an expression Funmilayo recognized: interest, approval. The look that said perhaps this pairing made more sense. Funmilayo felt something crack inside her, not from pain, but from understanding. Her family had already rewritten the story. In their minds, Daniel was too good for Funmilayo, too young, too stable, too much. And Gloria, beautiful and still within the acceptable age range, was the natural fit. Funmilayo did not make a scene. She greeted everyone politely, sat quietly, and observed. She watched Gloria touch Daniel's arm, watched her lean in when she spoke, watched her perform affection disguised as sisterly concern. And she watched Daniel, confused but flattered, respond to the attention without realizing he was being hunted. That night, Funmilayo made a decision, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. She would not fight for Daniel, because any man who could be swayed by manipulation, who could doubt her so easily, who could not see through Gloria's performance, was not the man she thought he was. And more importantly, fighting would give Gloria exactly what she wanted: drama, attention, proof that Funmilayo was desperate. Instead, Funmilayo did something unexpected. She stepped back, completely. She stopped initiating contact with Daniel, stopped explaining herself, stopped defending her feelings. She became unavailable, unreachable, and most importantly, unbothered. The shift was immediate. Daniel called more, texted more, showed up at her workplace asking what changed. Funmilayo smiled calmly and told him she was simply busy, nothing more. No accusations, no tears, just distance. And that distance, that sudden absence of effort, did something manipulation never could. It made him think. Gloria, sensing her plan unraveling, escalated. She called Funmilayo crying, accusing her of being cold, of abandoning family, of changing. Funmilayo listened without interrupting. When Gloria finished, Funmilayo spoke quietly, each word measured. "You're right, I have changed. I no longer accept disrespect disguised as love." Then she hung up. Weeks passed. Daniel requested to meet. Funmilayo agreed, but only in public, only briefly. He looked tired, confused, almost desperate. He asked what went wrong. Funmilayo did not list Gloria's manipulations. She did not expose the betrayal. Instead, she said something that pierced deeper than accusations ever could. Daniel, if you can be convinced I'm not enough, then I'm not enough for you. She stood, smiled gently, and walked away. That moment marked the turning point. Not because Daniel chased her, not because Gloria's schemes collapsed dramatically, but because Funmilayo chose herself. She chose dignity over desperation, clarity over chaos. And in doing so, she became unreachable to anyone who did not value her fully. Daniel eventually saw through Gloria's performance. It happened slowly, the way truth always emerges when lies require constant maintenance. Gloria's mask slipped. Her attention became too obvious, her flirtation too transparent. And when Daniel gently distanced himself, treating her only as his girlfriend's sister, Gloria's reaction revealed everything: anger, entitlement, resentment, not the behavior of someone concerned for her sister, the behavior of someone who had lost a competition she created in her own mind. Months later, Daniel reached out again, this time with clarity. He apologized, not with excuses, but with understanding. He admitted he had been manipulated. He confessed he had allowed doubt to cloud his judgment. He asked for another chance. Funmilayo listened without interrupting. When he finished, she did not immediately say yes. She did not reward his realization with instant forgiveness. Instead, she told him the truth. I will consider it, but you must understand, I don't need you to complete me. I needed you to see me clearly. If you couldn't do that once, I need to know you can do it now. Her honesty disarmed him. For the first time, Daniel understood what he had almost lost. Not a desperate woman clinging to her last chance at love, but a woman who knew her worth and refused to settle for anything less than full recognition of it. Funmilayo and Daniel rebuilt slowly, this time with honesty, boundaries, and mutual respect. And Gloria, unable to face the mirror, Funmilayo's strength held up, distanced herself. Family gatherings became tense. Kate, confused by the shift, tried to mediate, but Funmilayo refused to explain. Some betrayals are too deep for family reunions to heal. Some distances are necessary for survival. Years later, Funmilayo still carried the scar of her sister's betrayal, but she also carried something more valuable: the knowledge that she had chosen herself when the world expected her to accept crumbs, that she had walked away from love rather than beg for it. And that decision, painful as it was, had saved her. Because the greatest victory was not winning Daniel back. It was realizing that at 38, she was not too old, too late, or too anything. She was exactly enough. And anyone who could not see that, family or otherwise, did not deserve space in her life. What lesson stood out to you in this story? Was it Funmilayo's decision to choose dignity over desperation, or something else entirely? Tell us in the comments. If stories like this speak to you, you're welcome here. Subscribe for more African stories where truth always finds its voice. Thank you for watching.